This mini lesson is on factoring quadratic equations. So we'll start with an example of 12x squared plus 8x minus 15. So we're going to do something called the magic x. It's not really magic. We just make an x here. And what we want to do is we want to multiply the a term, which is 12, times c, which is negative 15, and that's going to give us negative 180. So I'll go ahead and put that at the top. And then at the bottom of the x, use the b term, which in this case is 8. So put the 8 down below. And what I want is two numbers on the side here, when multiplied, will equal negative 180, and when added together equal 8. So if we have 18 times 10, that gives us 180. So I'll go ahead and put that. We have an 18 and a 10. However, we need a negative 180. So one of these has to be negative. So I need a positive 8. So 18 and a negative 10 would give me a positive 8. So the negative 10 is what I'm going to put over here. So at that point, we want to expand 12x squared to 12x squared plus 18x minus 10x minus 15. And I think since I made it green before, I'll go ahead and make the 18 and the negative 10, just make it green so it matches, so you can see that. So we had an 18 here and a negative 10 here. And when you think about it, we did have an 8x here, and now that 8x has been split into 2, it's now an 18x minus 10x. 18 minus 10 is 8. So really it's still the same expression. It's just been regrouped into 4 parts. And the method that we do next is called factor by grouping. That's the official name for it. Factor by grouping. However, you'll hear me say sometimes we're going to do the Harry Potter method. And all that means is that we're going to split the 4 terms into 2 terms each. So we kind of use this symbol here. And some people think it looks like the Harry Potter symbol. At that point, for the first 2 terms, we want to factor out the greatest common factor. So I need the GCF of the first 2 terms. Okay, I'll go ahead and write GCF. Okay, just of the first 2 terms here. So, 3 goes into 12, 3 goes into 18, but I got to think of the greatest common factor, which would be a 6, and then we have an x squared and an x. So the greatest common factor of the first 2 terms is going to be 6x. So I'll go ahead and write that down. You have your 6x. And then 6x times 2x would give me 12x squared, and then plus 6 times 3 is 18, so that's just going to be a 3 there. Now the nice thing about factoring by grouping is if it's going to work, we have a 2x plus 3 here. So maybe I'll make that a different color real quick, just so it is identifiable. I'll erase that a little bit better. I'll make it blue. So we have a 2x plus 3. So that means we have to have another 2x plus 3 over here. If this is going to work, you need a 2x plus 3 over here. Now I intentionally left a space because we need something to multiply times 2 to get negative 10. And that would be negative 5 in this case. So I'll go ahead and write down our negative 5 here. All right, so at this point, what you're really doing in the next step is you're actually factoring out 2x plus 3. That's actually what's happening. You're going to factor out 2x plus 3. So I'll go ahead and write 2x plus 3 here. Maybe I'll put it in blue again. So I'll put some parentheses, and then we have 2x plus 3. So we actually are factoring it out. And what's left over after we factor it out is the 6x and the negative 5. So I'll put that in green. You have a 6x minus 5. So there you have your factorization of 12x squared plus 8x minus 15. Remember, that's what we started with in the beginning. So these are what we call 2x plus 3, 6x minus 5. They're actually called linear factors. They're called linear factors because individually, if you were to graph y equals 2x plus 3, that would be a straight line. And y equals 6x minus 5 would be a straight line as well. So those are called linear factors. Now that's the factoring. And sometimes people ask, well, do I have to solve it? Well, you don't solve it unless there's an equal sign. So had we started with 12x squared, I'm going to make that make it a different color here. So had we started with 12x squared plus 8x minus 15 equals 0. It's the equal sign here. The equal sign tells us we have to solve for x. We have to find solutions. Before we were just factoring, but now it says equals 0. Well, we've already obtained the linear factors, so we've already done all the work, or most of the work. And the linear factors were 2x plus 3 and 6x minus 5. So we do something now called the zero product property. That's the name of it, zero product property. And what we actually do is take each individual linear factor and set it equal to 0. So in other words, I have 2x plus 3 equals 0. And then I'm also going to take 6x minus 5 equals 0. And I just solve for x in each of those. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so in solving for x, I would subtract 3 here. So I have 2x is equal to negative 3 divided by 2. And x is equal to negative 3 halves. And we just keep it like that for now. And over here, add 5 to both sides. And we have 6x equals 5. Divide by 6. And x is equal to 5/6. So those are my two solutions. And we did it by factoring. So hopefully this will help you in factoring and solving equations by factoring.